Hey, it's Captain Matt, Motor Secret Weapon, and I'm here on a 2020 Tahoe 1950. Now, this is a deck boat. It's got the 150 Pro XS Mercury on it, and I figured while I was doing some videos for the Best Boat Captain program, the Advanced Docking program, figured, hey, I might as well do a review for you on this boat since I have access to it, and I've been running it now for probably about 5 hours, maybe 6 hours today. Couple of things that I noticed as I'm on the boat is overall it runs fine, it handles the waves fine, it does a really nice job for this style of boat, this size of boat. And I'm out here on a weekday on a fairly, not say medium-sized lake. It's not huge, but it's not tiny either. And it got a little bit choppy. I purposely went over some wakeboarder wakes, and it did a really nice job. I was really impressed with the ride. Now, when I compare it to other premium boats that I run, there's some differences. Now, this is where you have to make the personal preference decision of, is it worth the extra 5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand to upgrade to the premium tier in the same size boat? And that's a decision only you can make. I'll show you a couple of things that I noticed as I was out running this boat. The first thing is the steering wheel. All of the rubber on the steering wheel just peeled right off. When you look at the bimini, and I'm hooked up to the bimini, so that's going to shake you a little bit, it's not super secure. When you run more premium boats, you'll notice, one, the bimini rails are a little bit thicker. You'll notice that it's a little bit more secure. They may have a little bit heavier duty supports. This one has the two straps that come down, and you can tell those little strap holders where the clip clips into them, those are going to break in the next couple of years. You can just see it. It's already starting to happen as it gets more and more wear on it, and they're gonna break. It's a little thing, just like the steering wheel. It's a little thing, and it certainly isn't going to cost you 30 grand to fix it or 10 grand to fix these things. But they are these little things that you're going to have to deal with as they come up throughout the time you use the boat. I was impressed with the cleats. They've got the cleats in pretty good spots. They've got them in 3 cleats on each side on a 19-foot boat. The forward ones are pretty good. One thing I noticed in the layout, though, is it's real basic. That's what you would expect from a value brand, though, is you aren't going to expect cutouts and things in the mold that make it more ergonomic, make it more comfortable, make it, so your cans don't fly out when you're cruising down the lake. And this boat does almost 50 miles an hour with this setup. Now, it's just me and a small cooler, so that's going to go down as you put some weight on it, but it's a pretty quick boat. Part of that is because it's not super heavy. You can feel it when you're running. It handles the wakes well. It does a good job, but you can feel it under your feet that it's just not as rock solid as some of the more expensive boats. It's because of all the things that you can't see. Not as much fiberglass in the layup process. The stringers aren't as sturdy, I'll say. And you also notice some little things. I noticed water pooling in the bilge that I had to kick the bilge pump on, and it's taking on water somewhere. This is a 2-year-old boat. I'm not sure where it's taken on water, but I've had to turn the bilge pump on a couple times and notice it kicking out enough water to tell me it's not just all draining down, okay? Gonna be concerned about things not being exactly right. This boat is not gonna make you happy. A couple other things that aren't working. The fuel gauge isn't working. The horn isn't working. The horn is super common, but a couple other things that you'll notice are the seats. The captain's chair, where I spent most of the time driving and docking, is not very comfortable in the bolster position. I'm a bigger guy. I'm 6'2", 225, and the bolster it's tiny. It doesn't have much in the way of cushioning. Let's let these waves pass by here. In the seat, it doesn't have much in the way of cushioning. It got wet before I used it, and it hasn't drained out. They don't have great drainage in the seats. you can see the hardware, not as heavy duty. Some of those things, screws are gonna start coming out. Hatches and latches aren't gonna match up. I've already had to adjust a few of them. And again, on a 2-year-old boat, this is 2022, July, let's see, June 30th of 2022. And you just notice these little things that are gonna start coming up. They're little. They're not major. The boat's not unsafe. The boat's not uncomfortable. This would be a great fun boat for a young family that wants the warranty, that wants to know if something happens to the boat, and this one in particular isn't running quite right. Talk about that in just a second. But having that warranty where you can go back to a Mercury certified dealer and say, hey, this isn't right. Let's get it fixed, okay? This is a perfectly acceptable boat. Now, I wouldn't take this out, 5 miles offshore. It's not the right style of boat. I wouldn't take this if I was on a really, really rough lake and I wanted to boat Saturday, Sunday and get in the mix of it all. It's probably not the right platform for you. But if you're just a lake boater, or you're going to be going through the intercoastal, you're going to be running it, near shore, and you're going to be very careful about the water and the weather conditions, this is a perfectly adequate boat. But understand, there's going to be those little things. Okay, so that's on the negative side of stuff. On the positive side, it's a fun little boat. It's quick. It accelerates. It turns pretty well. It only has hydraulic steering. With the 150, it's got the C-Star system. So you've got to turn against the propeller. You can feel it, but it's not too bad. It's a fun, sporty boat to run. It's fairly light for its size, again, because it doesn't have as much material. It's not as heavy duty, but that makes it a little bit quicker. That makes it a little bit sportier. The stereo system sounded fine. He had upgraded to the subwoofer, which I actually turn off because I don't need that when I'm doing what I do out here. I didn't care for the hatches, the material that they use, but it's perfectly adequate. When you're a larger person like me, at some point over time with the sun, the deterioration, there's a chance that they're gonna crack under my weight. If you're smaller people, you don't have that kind of issue that us heavier fellas do. But it was fairly comfortable. The seats, not a ton of cushioning, but it was comfortable. I sat and had my lunch up in the bow, and it was a nice, comfortable place to sit. I really liked this little console area. Had a nice little cubby storage, which might have a sink option to it. There's plenty of cup holders. The front porch area, what I call it, up on the deck, would be great for kids jumping off. I can just see my girls jumping off this thing 1,000 times. There's a boarding ladder up front. Great for the sandbars to go. You can board right off the front. You've got some table options that you can put on. What you would expect in a deck boat that's focused on the family. And then some nice seating around here. I didn't really love the drainage systems throughout the boat. Again, those are some of the more detailed, some of the intricacies you get with the more premium level boat. They just have more time and more money to invest in those little details. The canvas cover is a little bit better. The bimini top setup is a little bit better. The mold has more intricacies to it, so it can make it more comfortable. But this would be a fun family boat for somebody that had a budget, that they really, really wanted to go new because they really felt that warranty was going to be valuable for them. Overall, I was more impressed with this boat than I thought I was going to be. But it's one of the reasons why I got it to film this portion, is because I wanted to run an outboard deck boat to put into the Best Boat Captain single engine outboard version. If you haven't checked that out and you're a new boater, it's an awesome program. It teaches you how to get total control over your boat. But I thought it'd be a great opportunity, a very common boat that a lot of people have. Yeah, it was nice. A lot of storage, adequate storage, I should say, and a little spot for your cooler. The upholstery is, it's thin, but the stitching was pretty good. If you take care of it, I think this upholstery could last, but you really have to take care of it. And I've noticed a couple nicks and dings around because it's not as thick as some of the more premium level ones, so it's easier to nick, it's easier to cut. But I didn't see anything that really worried me, other than the bolster on the helm seat. Again, not only was it thin and not super comfortable, but it also, you can see where the tears are going to start in another year or two. So we'll start it up. One thing, this boat has a choke. You have to push the key in to get it started. It's one of those things, if you're not trained on it, you're gonna have a devil of a time getting your boat running. So I mentioned this boat's not running great. I don't know if the idle is set too low or if there's fuel issues, but something's going on with it. Once we get over about 1200 RPM, we'll run fine, but you'll notice it's running a little bit rough right now. I've run several of these Pro XS's, and this is not common. I think that when you look at the service departments at some of the big box stores, because of the pay that they give, they don't always get the most experienced technicians, and that can cause a problem when you're doing some of the maintenance. The tech told this owner, hey, the boat's fine, it's idling, it's sounding right, everything checks out on the computer, but as soon as I started it up and listened to it at the dock, I told him there's something off on it. And I've had a couple of times where it wouldn't start for me, and it's almost died as I've come back in gear, again, because that idle goes a little bit further down than I think it should, or it's just not getting the fuel. So let's go ahead and get up on plane. We'll hit this wakeboard and wake up here. Trim all the way down, wide open throttle, about 20 miles an hour. So, not bad. I mean, you're going to hit a big wave like that. We're at 27, running 4,000 RPM. This boat likes a lot of trim. So I get it trimmed up, and at 4,100, we're at 29 miles an hour. So a nice cruise speed, a little faster than I typically go even. Now let's go ahead and give it the onion. As my friends say. So we got a nice clear area in front of us. We're at about now, 5,900. It was 142, 43. One thing I noticed when running it is the wide open throttle trim, it doesn't like to turn at that. It was cavitate, so you just got to trim down a little bit to turn. Now we're going to go the other direction. Kind of here, start to cavitate there. That's over our wings. Again, I've got a good amount of trim in it. Downwind, the pivoting top up, we're at 4,000 RPM, 27. Alright, going to get it. nice sharp turn angle. There's a nice comfortable cruise speed. We're at about 3,700, 3,800 RPM, doing 23 miles an hour. On plane, got just a little bit of trim in it. And this is a nice comfortable speed. If you can see on the seat, I'm kind of falling down. I'm falling down in this little crack there with my big butt. So that's the Tahoe 1950. Again, this is a 2020 model. They may have made some changes in 2021, 2022, but a value boat doesn't mean it's a boat you should never buy. It means know what you're getting. The quality is not going to be there. The comfort isn't always going to be there. There's going to be little ticky-tacky things that come up. But to get you and your family out on the water, if it fits your budget, you want that warranty so you aren't going to be caught up with some unexpected expenses other than the repairs that will need to be done. The steering wheel probably won't be warranted. The seat probably won't be warranted. The dealer is probably not going to fix the hatches and latches that don't go. As a matter of fact, while I was running, this compartment came open. That needs to be adjusted. And so that's my review on this Tahoe 1950 deck boat. If you have one, if you had one, let me know what's happened 5 years into it, 7 years into it. If you notice some little things, if you're buying a boat, go grab the Boat Buyer's Toolkit. It's a free resource, and I think you'll get a lot of value out of it. One, to help you inspect the boats, new or used, and to make sure you're making the smart decision. And also, depending on when you're watching this, I'm in the process of writing my new book for first-time boat buyers called Boats for Sale, The Secret Weapon to Buying the Right Boat. So be on the lookout for that. You could probably get a free download of that if you go to boatsforsalebook.com when that's out later this fall. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you on the next video.